when COVID came around, this was one of the first things that I just got done reading this book. It is called The Naked Communist. The guy's name was Cleon Skousen. He went through how Hollywood was all controlled by Marxists, and this in the 30s and 40s. He fought against Marxism taking over in the United States, but he describes the Marxist man now. Keep in mind, as you listen, this will be an excerpt from a book. It's chapter 4 of The Naked Communist. Keep in mind, Marxism, right? How did Leninism start? By Marxism. How did Bolshevism start? By Marxism, right? How did Israelism, or Zionism, like this is where it all comes from. And it's an ideological thing. They create the environment for you to live in under their terms, right? You can do whatever you want. You are free as long as you're free the way that we want you to be, and so pay attention to the words in this, because the guy was a brilliant writer and he did a great job of explaining how communism seeped into our country all the way back then. So just listen to what he says here. Okay, this is the narrator. But I'll hit play. Hopefully that'll work.
Rise of the Marxist Man.
Rise of the Marxist Man.
It is a terrible and awesome thing when a man sets out to create all other men in his own image. Such became the goal and all-consuming ambition of Karl Marx. Not that he would have made each man equal to himself. In fact, it was quite the contrary. The image he hoped to construct was a great human colossus with Karl Marx as the brain and builder, and all other men serving him as the ears and eyes, feet and hands, mouth and gullet. In other words, Marx surveyed the world and dreamed of the day when the whole body of humanity could be forced into a gigantic social image which conformed completely to Marx's dream of a perfect society. To achieve his goal, Marx required two things. First, the total annihilation of all opposition, the downfall of all existing governments, all economies, and all societies. Then, he wrote, I shall stride through the wreckage a creator. The second thing he needed was a new kind of human being. He visualized a regimented breed of Pavlovian men whose minds could be triggered into immediate action by signals from their masters. He wanted a race of men who would no longer depend upon free will, ethics, morals, or conscience for guidance. Perhaps, without quite realizing it, Marx was setting out to create a race of human beings conditioned to think like criminals. Producing such a race had been the dream of power-hungry men for more than 4,000 years. Nimrod had projected the design, Plato polished it, St. Simon sublimated it, now Marx materialized it. Today, this breed of criminally conditioned man walks the earth in sufficient numbers to conquer countries or continents, to change laws and boundaries, to decree war or peace. He might well be called Homo Marxian, the Marxist man. He has made it terribly clear that he intends to become the man of the 21st century. Homo Marxian is frightening and puzzling to the rest of humanity because a criminally conditioned mind does not respond the way normal people expect. For example, if a well-meaning person invited a professional criminal into his home for dinner, the shifty-eyed guest would be likely to survey the fine variety of choice foods, the expensive silverware and shiny goblets, and completely miss the warm sincerity and friendship which the host was trying to convey. In fact, the criminal mind would probably conclude that his host was not only soft-hearted, but soft-headed. Eventually, he would get around to deciding that such a weak man could not possibly deserve so many fine things. Then he would spend the rest of the evening figuring out how he could return in the darkness of the night and relieve his host of all his bounteous treasures. Anyone familiar with the history of communist leadership during the past 100 years will immediately recognize this same kind of mind at work. The flagrant abuse of U.S. friendship and generosity during World War II is typical. Homo Marxian puzzles all those who try to work with him because he seems irrational and therefore unpredictable. In reality, however, the Marxist man has reduced his thinking to the lowest common denominator of values taken from nature in the raw. He lives exclusively by the jungle law of selfish survival. In terms of these values, he is rational almost to the point of mathematical precision. Through calm or crisis, his responses are consistently elemental and therefore highly predictable. Because Homo Marxian considers himself to be made entirely of the dust of the earth, he pretends to no other role. He denies himself the possibility of a soul and repudiates his capacity for immortality. He believes he had no creator and has no purpose or reason for existing except as an incidental accumulation of accidental forces in nature. Being without morals,
That's the secular folks from Eastern Europe, the Khazarians, right? This is where Karl Marx came from, was the Khazarians, the Zionists, the people that hid as Christians but claimed to be Jewish, that messing around with France and Poland and Russia with communism. Where there is communism, it was preceded by Zionism, right? So just gotta, this is mind-blowing to understand this from the perspective that Zionism has built every shitty part of our social existence, right? There is always a beneficiary way up at the top working on your labor. How come I always got to do all this stuff, and those rich guys get to wear the suits and direct people and through government or whatever, right? It's because they've controlled all of that. The Rothschilds and Rockefellers and rich men, the money men, the money has always come from them. It's their creation for the measurement of your labor, right? And they hold, as he's saying, they hold no moral value. There's no morality in the things that they do. It's simply a matter of survival, right? Everybody's here to serve them, right? And that's not to say Jewish people. That's to say Khazarian people who have taken on the identity of Jewish people, right? That are not factually, biologically Jewish, right? So this is an interesting, you got to get the book, get the book. It's Cleon Skousen is the writer. He was an FBI agent fighting off communism in the United States, 30s and 40s. We were through all of this stuff before. Now the Marxist has achieved technological superiority, right? Because they've controlled all the money in all of the technology, in all of the colleges, in all of the government agencies, right? They've controlled it all because they've controlled money through the entire thing. Look up Larry Fink and BlackRock, right? Just for instance, So that's what they're talking about with morality. They don't hold themselves to the same moral standpoints or values that we have. For them, they give you those moral, that dogmatic idealism, right? I'm a conservative. Those Democrats are no good. They're Marxists, and right, which may be the case, but there is an oppositional force to whatever it is that you feel, right? Those are the bad guys because I'm with the good guys, right? And to have that in your brain at all, that dualistic thinking, there has to be a good and there has to be a bad. To have that in your mind, you are now manipulatable, right? You're manipulatable. You can't just be. There has to be a cop and a robber. Well, this movie makes no sense. There's no good guy. There's no bad guy. Like, what's the point in the movie, right? That's what it's the way that we're built through societal exchange. You're forced into school for, you're forced into school for education. What is education? It's to train the mind to think a specific way, right? They've dumped billions of dollars in education in every country so far, where communism, Zionism, constitutionalism, capitalism, whatever kind of ism you can think of, right? You are on one side or the other of those things, but that's what they're talking about here, is that secular view on life. There is no, I'm superior to those that I've given the ideology of God and Christianity. They think they're righteous. All right, well, how can I manipulate that, right? Tell them that Israel is the answer, Hey, Daba.
He approaches all problems in a direct, uncomplicated manner. Self-preservation is given as the sole justification for his own behavior, and selfish motives, or stupidity, are his only explanation for the behavior of others. With Homo Marxian, the signing of 53 treaties and subsequent violation of 51 of them is not hypocrisy, but strategy. The subordination of other...
The other thing, somewhere in this chapter, he brings up something about the... I'll play the whole chapter. I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know how long the whole thing is. He just reminded me of it, and it escaped me. I apologize. Can't think of it again.
Of other men's minds to the obscuring of truth is not deceit, but a necessary governmental tool. Marxist man has convinced himself that nothing is evil which answers the call of expediency. He has released himself from all the confining restraints of honor and ethics which mankind has previously tried to use as a basis for harmonious human relations. History is demonstrating that because of his mental conditioning, Homo Marxian is probably the most insecure of all men in his feelings.
This is the part I was talking
Since he
about.
believes himself to be an accidental phenomenon in a purposeless universe, he has an insatiable appetite to bring all things under his total domination. He admits that until this is done, he cannot feel secure. Not only must he conquer the human race, but he has assigned himself the task of conquering matter, conquering space, and conquering all the forces of cosmic reality so as to bring order out of natural chaos. He must do this, he says, because man is the only creature in existence which has the accidental but highly fortunate capacity to do intelligent, creative thinking. He believes...
So if you know who Theodor Herzl is, the godfather, right, the great-granddaddy of Zionism, right? The anti-Semites will be our greatest allies, right? When they scream injustice, we scream anti-Semitism. But we scream anti-Semitism, right? So the anti-Semite, as your algorithm is being flooded with completely anti-Jew, anti-Israel, blah, 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 right? They're building something in you, and that's a social engineering program. The way that these models are built together, the way that you're being directed at, which it's legitimate, right, to have the grief that you feel about it, the thoughts that you think about those, that ideology, right, or that, the anti-Semitic views, right, but they're, when they're not even anti-Semitic, you can't even claim anti-Semitism, right? So that's the big catch there, it's fucking crazy.
Believes that since Homo Marxian is the most advanced type of man, he must accept the responsibilities of a supreme being. He is perfectly sincere in his announcement that Homo Marxian proposes to become the ultimate governor and god of the earth, and then of the universe. Under the impact of such sweeping theoretical ambitions, many non-Marxists have been caught in the emotional tide of this ideological fantasia and have allowed themselves to be carried along in the current toward the shores of what they hoped would be a promise.
That was Kronos, the god Kronos, later to become Saturn or Satan, right? That's the god. Secret History of Our World.
Of man-made godliness. However, in recent years, a growing number of these pilgrims have risked life itself to come back to reality. Each one returns with the same story. Homo Marxian was found to behave exactly like the graduate creature from the jungle which he believes himself to be. He regards all others with fearful suspicion and responds to each problem as though his very existence were at stake. Although he demands the right to rule.
Eye in the sky, right? The great eye in the sky, that's your 5G network of smart things put together through their business institutions or corporations. 5G, smart technology. My fucking phone is listening to me. Yo, I thought about something the other day and the advertisement popped up right after I thought about it, right? They are being that invasive with the technologies that they're into now. It's a legitimate thing. It's not, look at a tinfoil hat, guys. It's legitimate. If you don't believe that, send me a message. I'll send you links to videos of people at Davos, the World Economic Forum, those who control world commerce right now, right? That's what the World Economic Forum is. It's to continually steer all of the money upwards into Bill Gates' hands, into Mark Zuckerberg's hands, take it out of yours, put it into theirs. Then they can, this is the wealth redistribution system that they've created for you to follow, right? Taxation and all that stuff, it's all theirs through policy and procedure for everybody that is a part of the mainframe that has created this, simulation that everybody's living in, right? It's not a simulation. They've stolen your spiritual capabilities, really, right? So it takes a lot of philosophical reading, philosophical interpretation to get to a point where you could realize that this is the enemy to spirituality. It's the enemy to to life itself, the way that life is, the inherent good in all things, right? The love for life. They've been it's a constant degradation of the love for life. separating people from their children through child services, or, hey, it's okay, go get some abortions, have as much sex as you want, whatever, right? But it's the destruction of internal spirituality. And that's the way that the Marxist works. The Zionist works the same way. It's all these principles come from the Zionist. Karl Marx precedes, the factual identification of the Zionist, right? He's much earlier than the Zionist, but it's his playbook that they've used everywhere that they've taken over, right? And a guy that you want to look up now would be Amitay Etzioni. I just saw my buddy Greg posted a thing on communitarianism. I always want to say commutarianism. It's just easier to say. But communitarianism is the merger of communism and humanitarianism, right? Do it for the greater good. Grandma's going to die at the nursing home if you don't inject yourself with this inoculation, right? That's what they use on us now. It's the mind fuckery. But the guy you want to look up who has influenced all of the biggest Yale and Harvard professors and whatever, and governmental politicians and whoever in the government, who steers the main conduit of law and policy and procedure. Look up a guy named Amitay Etzioni. I think it's Amitei. Etzioni is Etzione. Blatant Zionist. He has influenced almost all of academia in the United States. So Amitay Etzioni, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, like big people.
To rule humanity, he disdainfully rejects the most basic lessons learned during thousands of years of human experience. Returning pilgrims bear one witness. Homo Marxian has reversed the direction of history. He has turned man against himself. It is in this historical crisis that man finds himself today. Marxist man could not have come upon the earth at a more illogical time. In an age when technological advances have finally made it feasible to adequately feed, clothe, and house the entire human race, Marxist man stands as a military threat to this peaceful achievement. His sense of insecurity drives him to demand exclusive control of human affairs in a day when nearly all other people would like to create a genuine United Nations dedicated to world peace and worldwide prosperity. Although man can travel faster than sound and potentially provide frequent, intimate contacts between all cultures and all peoples, Marxist man insists on creating iron barriers behind which he can secretly work. Marxist man makes no secret of his ultimate objectives. He is out to rule the world. Because Homo Marxian is still an adolescent, he knows he cannot devour the whole human race in one greedy gulp. Therefore, he must be satisfied with one chunk at a time. As we shall see later,
by 1,000
he has
cuts.
adopted an orderly timetable of conquest, which he is following with a deadly fixation. According to communist prophecy, time is running out on the free world. This dilemma leaves the unconquered portion of frightened humanity with only 3 possible courses of future action. 1, they can meekly capitulate. 2, they can try to coexist. 3, they can set about to pull the blustering bully down. As far as this writer is concerned, there is absolutely no question whatever as to the course of action free men must ultimately take. In fact, it is the only choice the law of survival allows. Surely no man who has felt the throbbing pound of freedom in his veins could countenance capitulation as a solution, and no man who knows what lies behind the lethal communist program of coexistence would dare accept that proposal as a long-range solution. What then remains? Several years ago, while serving with the FBI, this writer became aware that the experts on Marxism have known for a long time that there are definite ways to stop communism cold. Furthermore, if free men move in time, this can be done without a major war. That is why this book was written. It was written under the persuasion that modern men would be foolish indeed if they accepted the phenomenon of Homo Marxian as a permanent fixture in the earth. There are well-established and easily understood historical reasons why every legitimate influence should be brought to bear on the removal of this roadblock from the pathway of normal human advancement. This must be done for the sake of Homo Marxian as well as for the rest of humanity. He is the victim of a man-made experiment trapped in his own self-perpetuating cycle of human negation. As long as free men are the prevailing majority in the earth, there is a very good chance of breaking this cycle. To do so...
The point is just, it's a great book. at the beginning of COVID, this is what I was really highly focused on, right? Because I was a conservative, and look, all the Marxists are Democrats, you know. I couldn't see that there was a Stalinistic version to the Republican Party at that time, and that's true. That's true. The Republicans were just as when you're talking about fascism and stuff, right? Now you've got Republicans promoting the idea of digital surveillance, get all the illegals out, right? You're being played like a fiddle, man, right? On all fronts. It doesn't matter what your political ideology is, right? There's the one thing that would blow these people out of the water. I mean, so patriotism is a big thing, right? Everybody loves their country because they're raised to wave their flag. Mexicans come to the United States and Americans get all pissed. Why are they waving a Mexican flag? You want to, right? I don't give a shit about the land. Nobody should give a shit about the land. We have all been blessed with the ownership of the land as the stewards for the, nature's creation of this earth. And, to fall into these different ideologies, like the sheep that we are, when I say we, I'm including myself, we are sheep. If we can't see past the shit that these people are pulling to advance all of their own agendas, right? Agenda 2030, all that stuff. There's a lot going on, and AI is a big part of it. It's another measurement and monitoring system. You feed it every day with your phone, with the things you say by your phone, with your smart devices, with the things that you watch that are calculated. This should be the IQ of this person based on the content that they like to view on their smart TV while watching YouTube or Amazon Prime movies, right? They like watching cartoons and anime and comedy shows or football, right? These are the people that we have right where we want them, or politics. Also, we have them right where we want them. The people watching the documentaries on true history, right? Those are the ones that are threats. People that keep digging in, and that, that's, I guess I fall in there somewhere. But I'm also one of those, right? There's somewhere that I can be manipulated. What is it? If you shed your own ego, you get rid of what has created the way that you think through your earliest developments as a child, what has built your persona and your ideological standpoint on life and society and other people and other countries and other nations, right? You have to challenge all of that. You have to drop all of that to be able to see all this stuff really clearly, and I'm not saying I'm 100% there, but I'm pretty goddamn close at this point. This is 5 years of studying what these people are, who they are, where they come from, what they're doing, how they're doing it, right? AI and the smart technologies are all under their control. It's another way to implement their control over the financial systems. We're in big trouble, and people still don't see that, and they still want to say, hey, go Trump or go Biden or whatever kind of nonsense, It's far past that at this point, So, let's see if I can hit any of these. Hi, Tammy George. Been here since 1:20, Matthew Dessert. 1:20. Man, oh man, I'm on it an hour? Holy cow. 2:18 it's saying it is right now. So, but yeah, I mean, that's, like, if you're going to have a class each day, just help people look around and learn. I hope everyone is learning as much as I am. Love for life. Dennis. Sabrina Wallace video, she talks about transhumanism, how we are getting overtaken. I'm very familiar with her. She's just, I don't need to know all of her details because I know the general. Not to say she should not be appreciated. It's just, for me, it's too much detail. I don't need any more detail on the topic. I know there are bad people behind bad things. I don't need all the details on how they're doing it, right? Because that's what they want you to go after. It's the obfuscation of the mind. It's packed ahead with all this crazy shit, right? There's aliens coming. There's, the CIA has flying saucers, and we're living in a simulation, and it's literally the Matrix, and all this different stuff, and all these different ways of looking at all these different things. It packs up. Your brain is like a hard drive. It can only hold so much before it breaks down. So I don't need all the details. I want the overview on how it all works hand in hand. And I not to say, I mean, there's other people that may need to watch her from her perspective. Sabrina Wallace is super, super smart. It's just, I don't want all of those details in my head. It's just more shit to, like, you guys can see me when I'm doing these videos now. Like, I have a hard time thinking of the word car sometimes, right? When I tell you I've been packing it in for the last 5 years, it's no joke. There was already not enough gigabytes in my hard drive, you know what I mean? So, it's, there's, you know, she is a great, you know, great force. She is a great force. And it probably sounds negative. I don't talk about her negatively at all. She's a brilliant woman. I just don't want that much detail. I've watched probably at least 6 or 8 hours of the videos that she's done. And it basically all, you know, it all tells you the same, you know, the same thing, which I wouldn't say 90, but like 80% of the things that I've watched of hers, I've already come to that conclusion before I even started watching her, you know, the human biofield and all that stuff, you know. Not to say like, hey, I'm awesome and she's not. I'm not saying that at all. She is a great force. Watch her videos. Watch Sabrina Wallace's videos. See if that's the thing for you. You'll get all the details you could possibly want on how these, you know, the W band is working and the human aura and chi, prana, blah, blah, blah. But that is the thing that's being read and recognized with all of the smart surveillance grid, right? Smart surveillance grid, self-monitoring, assessment, reporting, technology grid. So yeah, I agree, man. She is great. Awesome lady to watch. And I'm not downplaying her in any stretch, man. She is incredible. But for me, it's too much detail. The obfuscation, I'm at the point where put an AR in my hand and point us all in the right direction. That's where I'm at. I don't need to, I already know there's bad people there. They need to be dealt with, you know. That's where I'm at, like 3 years ago, right? They're doing all this. This is the people we're dealing with now. There was a kid one time, he aggravated the shit out of me. I don't know if he punched me or sucker punched me, and there was a teacher there. And the teacher came up and started protecting the kid. I was going to knock his freaking block off, right? And the kid standing behind the teacher making faces at me. And I think the next day I'm looking for him, and he'd yell at me, "Hey asshole!" He's going, "Hey asshole," or some name. I don't know what he was calling me, but I'm you know 8-10 years old, and we're out on the playground. Well, whatever the name was, he's calling me. He would call me it. I'd turn, I'd look at him, I'd chase him for 4 steps, and he'd run away, and he'd keep running away, right? Agitate me, hit and run, over and over and over again. That's the way these people. They hide behind something, right? They're always hiding behind something. From the 40s forward, that's anti-Semitism. Since Theodore Herzl, that's anti-Semitism, right? How can you be Semitic when you're not a Semitic people, right? It just doesn't, none of it adds up anymore, you know? So, hope everyone is learning. Oh, hi, Dennis. Order out of chaos, Dava. AC. They are the god of this world. This is Satan's kingdom. Walk away from the things of this world. Have to stop the mindset of what we have been brainwashed into believing. It's nothing but lies. Yeah. The whole thing. I mean, it's the whole thing. The way that everything that we have learned is their creation. In our short lifetimes, their books from the previous century are what are our learning books in school. Right? They've learned psychology thousands of years ago, right? But the most recent versions, like Freudian stuff and all that, the last 2 centuries, right? Like they've really refined the way that they control psychology, you know, and psychology and psychiatry and all this, you know, learning the human brain. And now they're using AI to do that to a much more, you know, a much finer detail now. So, it's just like, you know, here's my famous holy shit, you know, it's like, holy shit, these people are so much further ahead of us, and you've got people in the military going, you know, yes, sir, I need that promotion. You got people in the hospitals, yes, sir, I need that promotion. I want to make more money. I want to keep my good job. You get people in the, you know, academia that, hey, I need my job. Holy, I just landed a $200,000 a year job as a college professor, and I get all the accolades that go with that. And, all of that stuff, that measurement system, that thing that pumps up your ego, it usually comes with money, right? That's the same way they took over ancient Egypt, same way they took over ancient Samaria. This power structure that is always there as the underlying element controlling all things in the world, right? They don't want to be recognized, Well, maybe now they do, but caught every one of those kids. You caught every one of those kids? Keep up the pressure, man. You're being heard. Speak for all of us. Of course, Tom, yeah. Trying to rush everything because they know so many know the truth, and that they are trying to get the NWO in full going. They are wanting control of our financial services and money and trying. Tammy, yesterday or the day before, I went into my bank account. I always check my balance and whatever. And it said your password is going to run out or something, or it's going to be, taken away in 7 days. And I'm like, what the hell is that? But they've changed the interface for the structure of my bank. It's a smaller bank. I don't use like any of these Wells Fargo or whatever America, whatever the other one is. They're using it. Jesus, my brain. But yeah, it's definitely about finance, currency, everybody chasing all of it down to have what they need to live. And right, it's the system that they have in place. It's the dog treat, right? When you're training the dog and you're using a little clicker. I don't know if you ever tried to do that. Use a clicker, and every time you click that thing, the dog will look up and he knows there's going to be a treat there. Until the treat stops appearing in front of the dog, you still use the clicker. His ears will perk up and he's ready to obey the commands, right? That's us with money. Literally, like that's how fucking simple we are. And how we don't see it, I don't get it at this point, Not to say, I mean, you have to survive in a world that's built as it is, right? But it's like everybody is at a stop sign. I would always wonder this. I said this to my son the other day. Because I said, imagine this. And he said, what? I'm like, all these cars, there had to be 50 cars all at the stoplight. The car previous would wait for the next car to pull off and before it would step on its gas, right? And then the car behind, wait until that. Right, so you lost about 4 or 5 cars worth of people being able to get through that traffic light. That's the way that we are working, right? We wait, we sit and we wait until everything in front of us is clear. That's the way that this is all working with the finances. It's not everybody's moving at one time. But if everybody in the world, or everybody in our country for one, right, just all stood up right now, that's the cops. That's the underlings in the politics, in the political systems, right? That's everybody all at once says, yo, that's fucking it. We've had it. Get out of our country. Everybody, police, everybody, all at once, right? The degenerate drug user addicts laying on the sidewalks, the people in the schools and colleges and everywhere else. Everybody just stands up and say, yo, Israel, get the fuck out of our country. We don't want you anymore, right? That's us at the stoplight right now. We're all waiting for the next car to move out of the way. Everybody should be standing up at the same time right now going, I fucking had it. Nope, no more, right? Like, that's where I've been for a few years right now. Let's fucking go. That's the way I think about all of it. So, trying to hit a couple of conversations. I didn't mean to do 2 lives today. I wanted to do a live later on, but they have already tied shutting down the bank system in Thailand. Don't worry, shutting down the government too is a thing now. Watch, AI is going to save the day. Again, I'll bet you. More than likely, I'm betting. They've already been shutting down the bank system in Thailand and Vietnam, I think, too, right? It's like 80,000 or 80 million people. Over 3 million people said absolutely not, and they're still using money. So it failed in Thailand. The money thing is that's the end of us, right? It's money. I got every word is truth, and I would like to think anyone with common sense would agree. Sad part is majority of people are so close-minded or trapped in their day-to-day lives, too busy to look up. Oh, it started me over. Well, that generational tact is what they have. Pavlov's dog. That's, Jessica Stubbs said Pavlov's dog, right? That's it. That's the same. He actually brings up Pavlov in this book, I think, about 3 different times. If everyone would work together and we could end it all. Yeah, because they didn't take the digital. Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot more, there's a lot more that you can actually do, right? But, what is it? That's the part that's hard for people to move to, right? They're poisoning our fucking kids, man. Right? They're giving them shit, poisoned food with all this, whatever. I'm not going into the details about the names of all the different chemicals and whatever. We all know that they're poisoning us with all kinds of shit at this point. Stuff from the sky specifically, right? Water, food. It's all there. And we just keep sitting around going, let me find out if that's true. And that's one of those things where I'm saying, I don't need the fucking details. I know that they're doing it. Why am I not choking somebody to death on the ground right now over it? Why, where are they? How do they rule? They're not doing it from here. If they were doing it from here, people would be all over them every day, Hi, Saria, yeah. But, I just wanted to do a short live, and I ended up over an hour already. I'm like an hour and 10 minutes. So it's just on my mind as I was listening to this book again. This is like the 5th time I listened to this book. Because once you understand that Hitler was there in in World War II, Hitler was there to help, to deceptively wipe out the opposition to Marxism. That's why Hitler was there. The opposition to Zionism, right? If you look into it deeply, right, Hitler was all about moving the Jewish people off to Palestine in a peaceful manner. He wanted to put them on an island, like all kinds of different options. There were 3 different options. They picked Palestine because it was the least defensible area, more than anything. But from what things that I've read, I don't remember the details on any of that either, right? But the important part is we're here again. It's been 100 years. You're witnessing all of it happening in live time, and what are you really doing about it? What are you able to do about it? How many people around you have you spoken about it with? What do you do? What do you do now? Right? Money is the backbone to all things, all behaviors, to the way all things work. How do you bypass the idiots that are working for the money at any cost, including the cost of your health and your life, right? Your children's health, your children's lives. They're working for money, and they're being easily herded into doing so. And they'll defend their standpoint. As a doctor, right? I'm a doctor. I've got a PhD, and I'm here to heal your children. You're here to follow policy and procedure. Who dictates the policy and procedure? That's the big thing. That, the doctors, the smartest of us, right? The doctors, the lawyers, they don't even know they're working for them. They don't even know it, right? So that's the really fucked up part, is who we view as the smartest among us don't even see this stuff themselves. And if they do, they don't say anything about it so they can protect their own fucking wallet, right? And that's the shittiness of society. That's the shittiness of what we call humanity now, right? Cover my own ass. And that's what he's talking about, the Marxist man, right? My own survival is all that matters. And that's the world that we live in. That's the shitty world that we live in now, I guess Shane is a real ladies' man. Why you say that? Happy I got to parasites of this world. That's why they're so brainwashed over money, because they think it's the only way of living. I agree. How come it's only women in the comments? You know what, to be honest with you, oh, that's where the comment comes from. Shane's a ladies' man. Yeah, right. You know what? I don't think. I think men are the biggest target. I did a live video the other night, right? Wars. What are wars designed for? It's to kill the men who would otherwise protect their homelands, right? If the men are in the homelands, they're able to defend against whatever, right? So it's the men that are off fighting in the wars that get wiped out of that population, making that population much more susceptible to the overtaking. Decreased numbers and all that stuff. Ideologies, masculine ideologies are wiped out, right? Or watered down now. That masculinity. Look at the United States. How many of our Army guys and Marines and Navy guys and whoever, right? These military guys committing suicide, right? That's just another. What are they doing to these guys in basic training? What are they doing them while they're deployed over in Afghanistan or wherever, right? They're seeing shit that they don't like about their own lives. Like, what did I get myself into? Right, and they come back and I think that it has a lot to do with guilt. The guilt of invading otherwise peaceful countries. Look into the depths of Saddam Hussein. Find out. Here's the way that you got to think. Like Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi. I was being raised thinking, oh, these are just terrorists. I saw it on the news. I know that, right? And when you look into the depths of those stories, you'll find out. So the way that you have to think is not, I'm going to listen to what the news says. Saddam Hussein is a bad guy. He's a terrorist. So is Muammar Gaddafi, right? They're bad guys, and that's that. I'm a patriot and whatever, right? Find the reasons that they're not the bad guy. Go look for that information. Look the other way, right? Just look the other way. Look for the good things in Saddam Hussein. Look for the good things in Muammar Gaddafi. You will be amazed at what those men were doing for their homes, for their homelands. We've been useful idiots in the entire thing, right? We are the Holocaust. They're sending us, shipping us off to do their bidding. Every other country hates the United States because of what Israel has our government dictate to our military using our population for, right? And that's the way that it all bleeds down. So it's like, how come it's only women in the comments? Hey, Shane, I think there's something way bigger going to happen, and that is why all the troops, they did that thing where they take my, here it is, why all the troops have been being put in major cities all at one time. I don't know what that is. Hi, Michelle Louise. History, same as they did before. That's how the orphan trains and the World Fair is all about. Yeah. They got rid of the men and the women. They locked up, said they were crazy, and took the children. You're Shane. Having united with people on the same level of awareness and consciousness, knowing that what we know about true science and energy, we get together, heal and activate our DNA and superpowers. Late to the party, but I made it. Hi, Kristen. I've often thought that the soldiers were injected with something that eventually drives, I can't see it, it's telling me I have a slow connection with 5 bars of service right now. Drives them to take, yeah, right, it drives them to take their own lives. Injected with something that eventually drives them to take their own lives. So nanotechnology has been around a while, right? So if you want to change the emotions, right? Emotions are vibration-based occurrences, right? Phenomenon in the body, right? It's vibration. It's caused by vibration. If you don't believe that, go listen to a sad song, right? All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray, right? Just listen to the mamas and the papas, right? You're like, oh, it's a nice song, and then holy shit, it's a sad song. Oh my God, it's a nice song. Oh my God, it's a bad song. It's sad, right? So music, just music, vibration itself is what causes emotion, right? So when you are, that emotion or your endocrine system is, boosted with some kind of endorphin modulating compound, right? Graphene, aluminum, maybe. When that is, you can't rule it out, right? We know that that's what they're doing with COVID and all that now. So, yeah, I've had friends that were just completely downloaded with some shit and then poof, rest in peace. Yeah. Amphetamines in World War II, vaccines in the Third War. Check out Guy Anderson Facebook page, Shane. Kill off the white angry Christian men. Yeah, right. It's the same as, but it's all of the stuff that they use, man. It's the religion. It's so many different things. It's not just religion. It's not just money. It's all of it in tandem with the next thing. It's for average people to look at it and go, oh, it's just normal. It's just the way the world is, right? It doesn't have to be that way. Like we changed that. We changed that. Oh, the government said we can't go into a store if we don't have a mask on, right? 90% of the population listened to that bullshit, right? Don't stand within 6 feet of another person. 90% of the population listened to that shit, right? Oh man, it's just like, that's how it works, man. It's just like, that's how it works. Time for jaw punches. Yeah, it's more than that, man. I'm with you. Just like rosemary and thyme. Those things are actually great for the body. So I'm going to get off here. I was planning on doing a live video later, but I was just listening to this as I was driving down to Home Depot. I was listening to that book. I was falling asleep last night listening to it, so I just went back through half a chapter so that I could have, anybody that's interested in what's going on in the world right now. It's happened again and again and again and again and again and again, all the way back to ancient Mesopotamia, and even previous to that in ancient Egypt, right? It was Egypt was first, no matter what you're taught. You're taught by, Abrahamic religion. Noah was the first man in the modern day. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, it can literally be, it's all proven through, the fringe conspiracy theorist PhDs. It's the truth, right? So Abrahamic religion is, why are they finding things that are 20, 30, 40, 50,000 years old, man? You got to start putting it together. That, whatever those religions are, they're used against you. They're used against you to get you to think a specific way. Once you're righteous, the other person is not. And that's literally how simple this whole thing works, People can't just exist without their religions, without their ideologies. Ehat's the name of the book. Those are the ones that are still brainwashed and want others to control their lives. I didn't wear a mask, got abused every time I went out. Same with me. I think there was a little old lady one time. You should have a mask on. I said, so should you. You're ugly as hell. I was just busting her chops. But it's just the shit they did to us, man. It was all torture. All of COVID, it was torture. It was bullshit. It's not real. It's not real. It doesn't exist. Look at the fucking stuff they had us do, man. Look at it. Like, chemtrails, they're real. Those are real. Right? What are they doing with them? There's a whole bunch of different ideas on what that is. For sure, graphene is in it. It's just like shit, man. We are all gods. Yeah, I agree. That's all. Chasing down the Gnostic stuff was the best thing I ever did. What's the name of the book? The book is The Naked Communist by Cleon Skousen. Through the book, there's like 40 methods, to advance communism onto an unknowing population. It's like getting rid of, loyalty oaths, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, blah, blah, blah. But it's to degrade everything about, your Constitution, take over any form of entertainment industry, all of it, the politics, the politicians, academia and education, it's all of it. But there's this big list of like 40 things. You got to see that part of the book, and he irons that out really clearly throughout the book. When you read the physical book, you're just looking at this list of shit, and it's like, wow, they've done all of this. And it even says that in this part of it. It says all but one of those 40 different things have already been done here in America. This is like a rewrite of the original book. I had the original book, 2 of them. I've given one away, and then I bought it again, and then I think I gave that one away and never got it again. So now I only have it on audiobook. But it's called The Naked Communist by Cleon Skousen. His son is also I think his son has a big part in a lot of the stuff, the literary stuff that he's brought out, you know. Questioning science is science, for sure. Yeah, yeah, little old ladies, one was following me around the supermarket and abusing me. I said, you're over 70, you shouldn't even be out. She lost her shit. Yeah, so I'll kill this now, and then, I mean, I'll do a live later on tonight. I was planning on doing one at about 8 o'clock or so, but I keep thinking about doing the YouTube thing, and I don't know, I'm just not familiar with it. I've been doing this on Facebook for so long, but I know I only have 30 days. This video is over with after that point, you know. So happy Sunday to everybody, and I guess around 8 o'clock I'll do a live video tonight, and I don't know on what, but nobody gets notified. I'll just tell you, I'll probably be on at 8 o'clock. See you guys later. Our food systems and pyramid, they had us brainwashed into believing isn't what we should be eating, nor the way of eating the right foods. That's a huge lie and is nothing but genocide of the human race. So, that's the one last thing. Ancient Egyptian spirituality had everything to do with not eating flesh. And I used to justify this, like, oh, the vegans and the vegetarians, but I love my hamburgers, right? Like, that's just the way I thought. And I still eat hamburgers and whatever else. But it's the spiritual principle behind it. Something else has to die for you to sustain your own life, right? And it doesn't have to be that way. You go out and you plant, right? But we've been, like, the United States has been built on this principle. Eat meat, get cows, you know, shoot deer, shoot moose, right? And you're already making an exchange of your spirituality in that process. I'm trying it. My son loves hunting. I've never really gotten into it. I don't like killing stuff at all. And, I mean, I have an easier time with people than I would animals, for sure. But, we have been so, like, just seduced into this mindless existence without any, you know, without applying any spiritual presence to whatever the topic is that they're trying to advance onto our population, onto our countrymen, right? Or other countrymen of other countries, right? It's like we just don't use the philosophical mind anymore. We don't use the spiritual mind. We go to school, we learn the physical things about outer space and whatever, right? Like all that stuff, it all works hand in hand. And they've just really done a great job this time of fucking our brains up to the point where we won't even fight back. That's just the sickening part of it, you know? Have a great day, Chinoa. All right, guys.